and we agreed that this was the right thing to do. But thanks to modern technology and thanks to John Lyon, Director of Communications for the County Executive, who especially this year went out of his way to set this all up, many more can participate virtually. But the question remains, why are we holding this event at all? Why are we pushing to have this menorah lighting event? What would be the harm in skipping it for 1 year? The answer, my dear friends, lies in a letter penned by our revered leader of the Chabad Lubavitch movement, Rabbi Menachem M. Schneerson of blessed memory. Allow me to read a brief excerpt of a letter dated on the eve of Hanukkah 1980, where the Rebbe writes the following. The miraculous victory culminating with the dedication of the sanctuary in Jerusalem and the rekindling of the menorah, which had been desecrated and extinguished by the enemy, has been celebrated annually ever since during these 8 days of Hanukkah, especially by lighting the Hanukkah menorah. Also as a symbol and message of the triumph of freedom over oppression, of spirit over matter, of light over darkness. It is a timely and reassuring message, for the forces of darkness are ever present. Moreover, the danger does not come exclusively from outside, it often lurks close to home, in the form of insidious erosion of time-honored values and principles that are the foundation of any decent human society. Needless to say, darkness is not chased away by brooms and sticks, but by illumination. Our sages said, a little light expels a lot of darkness. End quote. So why are we celebrating with the public menorah lighting today? Because as long as there is darkness, we need the menorah's message. And the darkness today seems to be crushing. Millions of lives lost from the virus, millions grappling with the effects of the virus, millions of families left without income, millions of people sitting literally in the dark. Many are wondering the same question that King David asked in Psalms. From where will my help come? And the answer today is the same answer that King David answered to his own question over 2,000 years ago. My help cometh from the Lord. The Maccabees of old were also surrounded by a crushing darkness. They faced great odds. They could have easily admitted defeat and nobody would have guilted them. But they felt a mandate to keep fighting, and their faith in God is what gave them the strength to carry on. So, my dear friends, both here and those watching on the live stream, the menorah reminds us to keep on fighting. And the way we fight is by continuing to remain optimistic, keep adding light, and keep on believing. May God Almighty bring salvation to the world and heal us from this virus and all other illnesses and pain. Amen. To limit exposure, I will list this evening's speakers who will come up in the order listed. Hopefully everyone can keep track of their turn. You can tell that I've been subbing for my wife's kindergarten class. Thank you. I would like to give the following thank yous to those who have made it here this evening, and thank you for leading our community during this difficult time. And I ask forgiveness in advance if there are some here that are not on this list. Rabbi Avramo Kotlarski, Regional Director of Chabad Centers in Rockland and Executive Director of Chabad Lubavitch of Rockland in New City. Mr. Ed Day, Rockland County Executive. Mr. George Holman, Clarkstown Supervisor, also a personal friend of mine that we've got to know each other the last couple of years. Mr. Philip Soskin, District 7 Legislator, who's actually filling in for Mr. Alden Wolf, who was supposed to be here but had to cancel last minute, the District 6 Legislator and the Legislative Chair. Mr. Lon Hofstein, also a longtime friend and has been doing this lighting with us. District 5 Legislator and Minority Leader. Mr. Ken Zabrowski, New York State Assemblyman, District 96. Mr. David Christel, CEO of JCC Rockland. Mr. Gary Siebser, CEO of Jewish Federation. Rabbi Joel Fried, Law Enforcement Liaison. Rabbi Fried will kindle the first light tonight. I think Judge Scott Ugel is here. And any others that are here, thank you. I ask that, as per Ed's instructions, remarks be kept brief. Rabbi, for you that means under 25 minutes. Also, special thank you to the following for their assistance in making this event possible this year and in years past. John Lyon, Director of Communications. Beverly Florsheim, Executive Assistant. I just wanted to share on a side note a funny episode that happened today. I called up Beverly regarding this event. She answered very sweetly, a bit too sweetly, if you know what I mean. So I go, "This is Rabbi Morgenstern." Turns out she thought that I was her husband. I was thoroughly impressed that after 50 years, she still answered like a newlywed. This was a great lesson for me, and I just want to wish her and her husband many more happy and healthy years together. Without any further ado, Rabbi Kudlarski.
Good evening and welcome. It's a pleasure to see everyone. It's like good friends coming together every single year. A little hard to see with the glasses fogging up here. I'm going to keep my remarks short. And every year we always speak about the significance of the first night of Hanukkah. So I'd like for us to kind of like think in a different way. And that is that we've seen the incredible power of a minute particle, something that is so small that we can't see it, we can't touch it, we can't feel it, but yet its impact has been incredible. As noted before in Rabbi Morgenstern's words, as we all know, we're all acutely aware of the fact of the changes that have come across our nation, our world, and our personal lives and the lives of our friends and family. And sometimes we underestimate the value of one small little deed, of one small little act. And so I would also like to share with you a thought from the Lubavitcher Rebbe, but on something very different, which is something that we still are concerned about in our own times now, and that is the power of the atom. And one of the things that the Rebbe spoke about is he said that we can learn from the popular term, the atomic age, that we have seen at our time how the energy concealed within the minutest subatomic particles can destroy an entire city and millions of inhabitants. This is possible because within every tiny bit of matter, God has infused a tremendous amount of power. And here's the essential thing for us to remember, and this is something that is so critical in our lives. And that is that if this is the case with negative activities such as warfare, so much more so is it true in regard to the spiritual potential that we have within. Through the proper use of the power locked within our divine soul, one person can have an immeasurable effect on himself and on the entire world. So we've seen the negative, we've seen the effect of the virus, the pandemic changed everything across the whole world, economically, politically, socially, financially. In every single way our lives have been changed. And this all, for the most part, has not been a positive experience. But we have to learn from that the power of something that is even so minute, so small, that they can have such an effect on everyone, so how much more so one act of kindness, one act of goodness. As the Lubavitcher Rebbe said when CNN reporter came by, this was prior to his passing away, just the year before, and he asked him, "What is the message that you would like to give to the world?" And the Rebbe said that Mashiach, the Messiah, is ready to come. All he is waiting for is that we should add in acts of kindness and goodness. So our response to the pandemic, our response to the threat of nuclear power and those who are actively seeking to increase that power, that we need to increase in our good and everything that we could possibly do to bring more goodness and more kindness into the world. And even one little small act can have an incredible impact and can have far-reaching consequences. So I wish everybody a happy Hanukkah. Thank you for coming. And we will see the power of just one little candle tonight as it will illuminate us here and the entire world.
Good evening, everybody. I'm going to follow my own advice. I will be very, very brief. And to build on what Rabbi Morgenstern said, when the question came, are we going to do our menorah lighting this year? Are we going to do the creche this year? My answer was very direct. Beliefs and traditions are critically important in our lives. At times of crisis, they're things we hang on to. And frankly, my feeling was very clear that if there's any way we could continue with our traditions and beliefs publicly, we're going to do it. So I'm very glad you're all here tonight. I'm proud that we here in Rockland County continue to do this. And this is a tradition I don't want to see die in any way, shape, or form. There are some who do not like the fact that we have on property religious symbols. I remember my history well, and I remember the precept was freedom of religion, not freedom from religion. It is critically important that we never forget that, and that we do what we can do to espouse that wonderful virtue. So again, with that, I just want to wish everybody a wonderful evening, happy Hanukkah, and may we all be blessed by the Festival of Lights. Thank you.
Well, good evening, and I'd like to thank Rabbi Kodolarski and Rabbi Morgenstern for the kind invitation, and I love coming to the lighting every year. You know, as I was thinking of what to say when I was asked to speak, I too also went back to the words of the Rebbe Menachem Schneerson from his letter from 1980. And it's remarkable that 40 years later, his letter still speaks to us as if it's happening today. And Rabbi Morgenstern read most of it, but there's a few other lines in it that I think are very worthwhile for us to hear. Rebbe Schneerson said, "The Hanukkah lights remind us in a most obvious way that illumination begins at home, within oneself, one's family, by increasing and intensifying the light of the Torah and the mitzvahs in everyday experience. Even as the Hanukkah lights are kindled in growing numbers from day to day. But through it all, it begins at home. It does not stop there. Such is the nature of a light, that one kindles a light for one's own benefit. It benefits also all who are in the vicinity. Indeed, the Hanukkah lights are expressly meant to illuminate the outside, symbolically alluding to the duty to bring light, also to those who continue to walk in darkness." Very beautiful and powerful words. We need light today. As we're facing this horrible pandemic and we're coming through the other side of it, over 700 Rocklanders lost, almost 300,000 Americans lost, businesses and lives really suffering. The words of the Rebbe really speak to us today. He was writing at a time when our country was facing economic uncertainty, hyperinflation, high unemployment, our hostages over in Iran just being released, and significant hardship, and people really questioning, did we have a future? We have a future, and we have a future if we keep that light within our hearts and we spread it with one another. So tonight, in a very symbolic and a personal way, when we light the menorah, let us bring that light and continue to bring it every day as we face this pandemic. God bless you all.
Those who don't know me, my name is Phil Soskin, and I'm the Deputy Majority Leader of the Legislature. I received a call this afternoon about 3 o'clock. I was asked to substitute for our chairman who couldn't make it this evening. I couldn't say no. This is a very important holiday. It's a holiday where one little candle lasted, instead of one night, 8 nights. It showed the spirit of the Jewish people. today is a very difficult time. We're being asked not to attend services because of the pandemic. You can't keep this social distancing. You must wear masks. I want to urge all of you and everybody listening that if you can save one life, you're saving the world. And as much as we don't like it, please wear the mask, keep social distancing, and if you can't go to synagogue, be sure and pray at home. It's that little Jewish feeling that you have, which has spread, by the way, to the community as a whole. That's very important. So I wish all of you who are here and listening in on the internet and the entire community a very happy and a healthy Hanukkah. And to my non-Jewish friends, a very Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year. And may we all continue to work together to get rid of this enemy that we have within us. Thank you.
This year, we will be celebrating the holiday a bit differently from years past. It has been a difficult and a stressful year for us all. Let us remember, Hanukkah is not just the festival of lights. May it be remembered as the festival of hope, happiness, and good health to us all. Happy Hanukkah, and God bless all. Thank you.
I think so far we've kept the order right, which is important and difficult. But I had to just know who I was before, my good friend Lon Hofstein. Thank you again for inviting me. It's such a pleasure to be here at this important occasion, and certainly it is important that we do it differently. Public health is of paramount importance, and we're doing everything we can in the state of New York and here in Rockland County to keep folks safe. But if not now, then when do we draw upon faith? Do we draw upon family? Do we draw upon holidays for a sense of solace, for a sense of normalcy, and for a sense of inner strength? And so that's why it's important that everybody, in their own way, carry on traditions like this. I just want to wish everybody here in Rockland County and across New York State a happy Hanukkah. I wish everyone peace. I wish everybody health. And I wish everybody a prosperous future and a 2021 that will show us better days. Thanks very much.
I'm David Kershell, CEO of JCC Rockland, and I really want to thank Rabbi Pawlowski and Rabbi Morgenstern for always coming together on the first night to bring the community together. Hanukkah really is a holiday about community. And as we move forward in these very difficult times, it's important that we all as a community, Jewish and non-Jewish, come together in the spirit of support of each other. The light of Hanukkah, the first night, let it be the beginning of an illumination for all of us of a bright future as we work through this pandemic. And at the same time, let's all commit for each of us that we will look to make a positive difference going forward. Thank you.
Good evening. I'm Gary Siepser, CEO of the Jewish Federation and Foundation of Rockland County. I want to thank County Executive Day for hosting this again this year, and thank the rabbis for bringing us together as always. This is, as everyone has acknowledged, this is a very special holiday and a very special time of bringing light to our lives and our entire community. If you would like to share the light of Hanukkah with your neighbors, your friends, and everyone in the community, please take a picture of the light in your window, whether you are celebrating Hanukkah or not. Put a light in your window tonight and post a picture of it to the hashtag Rockland Shines with Hope. Let's make that our message for the next 8 days and through the holiday season. Hashtag Rockland Shines with Hope. Thank you.
This wasn't on the list, but we're very fortunate to have Tom Walsh, the DA, here join us, and we'll just give a few brief remarks. And Tom, I understand, is going to join us on Sunday at our mega Hanukkah drive-in at the Boulder Stadium. We're having a drive-in with cars. Everyone will be celebrating from their cars, so you can go to HanukkahDrivein.com for more information.
Thank you, Rabbi. Hanukkah and the lights represents the triumph of light over darkness, that ultimately good will prevail over evil. During 2020, we've had a terrible, terrible time. It's been described as a dark winter. But the light of Hanukkah will show us that we will prevail. The Jewish people have struggled for thousands of years and have prevailed. And they will serve as an example in Rockland County for all the people that during this troubling time, during this dark winter, that all of Rockland will overcome these difficulties, and the light is represented by the menorah will push back darkness, and 2021 will be a much better year for all of Rockland. Happy Hanukkah, and thank you.
I'll say amen to all of those wishes and all those hopes and blessings for this coming year. You know, one thing we learned, I think all of us learned from this pandemic, is that sometimes through the darkness you discover new light and new creativity and new things that you may not have done before. This Hanukkah we did something new that we've never done. We printed and mailed a beautiful Hanukkah magazine, and we have it on the table here for anybody. It's called The Soul Wise. Beautiful magazine with beautiful messages and stories and recipes for Hanukkah. At this time, I would like to call up Rabbi Joel Fried, Law Enforcement Liaison, who will kindle the first light tonight. I want to take this opportunity to thank our law enforcement, our first responders, the medical community, our teachers, all those that we call angels that are working through this difficult time. We appreciate everything that you do, and God should bless you and keep you safe. Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher kiddushanu b'mitzvosav v'tzivanu le'adlik ner Hanukkah. Baruch atah Hashem Elokeinu melech haolam she'asa nisim la'avoseinu Thank you again. Thank you, Mr. Adey, and everyone for coming. Again, please enjoy some Hanukkah refreshments. Even the refreshments are socially distanced this evening. We'll sing one traditional Hanukkah song.
V'sham toda neshabeya le'estachim matbeya nitzor hamnabeya azegmor b'shir mizmor Chanukas hamizbeya azegmor b'shir mizmor Hanukkah Mizbeah.
Thank you very much. Happy Hanukkah.